is September 27th, 2017, and this is our student panel.
I'm Derek.
I'm Dylan.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Ashlyn.
And today we will be talking about the Take a Knee protest in the NFL as well as other places. Anybody want to start us off?
Well, I could start with one thing. I'm against it, not because I don't agree with their right to protest, but I think it's kind of silly because they don't really take into account the other things that the NFL has banned. I know just recently some NFL players wanted to honor 9/11 victims, and they said that they can't do that, or they actually threatened them with a fine, and they also said that they couldn't honor murdered cops. So I think it's kind of hypocritical of them, to ban that but then not ban this.
Well, you can see that, but I think, realistically it's not stupid because they are getting their message across. Love it or hate it, they are getting their message across, Everyone, we're talking about it, so, this is all over the news. So love it or hate it, it is beneficial for them. They are getting their message across. People are listening, whether they agree, disagree, it doesn't really matter. They are still listening. And a lot of times
But it is hypocritical,
Yes, it is hypocritical for them to do that. And I would probably presume that they're going to ban this shortly, or either you could make the statement.
Because the commissioner of the NFL has stated that each player should have their right to protest. I'm also against this protesting because I think it's just disrespectful to, the armed forces in the stadiums.
I think it's the ultimate respect. To willingly exercise your right to protest, that's what people, fight for. Your right as Americans, and it is your right to protest, to assemble. So it's not.
I think a good way to show it though would be I saw a few teams this past Sunday locked arms and stood for the anthem. I think taking a knee or sitting during the anthem is pretty disrespectful.
Yeah, because it is our flag, and you're disrespecting it when you don't stand for the anthem. There's other ways to protest. I'm all for protesting, but just the way they're doing it is disrespectful towards the flag, the people that fought for it, and our nation.
One of the biggest players in the NFL, LaShawn McCoy, was exercising during the national anthem, and I think that's just the ultimate disrespect to people that are just you have tons of armed forces and veterans in the crowd that have served their country and make it possible for you to have your right to
play football.
Yeah, to play the game that you love, and then
Going back to that locking arms thing, in my mind that's no different than just taking the knee thing, because they're still not doing what they're supposed to be doing. But when the national anthem is going, you either put your hand over their heart, or if you're in the armed forces, you salute. That's how it's written. I don't know the exact wording.
You're still standing up,
but you're not
everybody else in the crowd. You're locking arms and showing unity with each other. I don't get how that is
And some of them were even still covering their heart while locking arms.
No, that's fair.
But most of them were.
But still, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And by your definition, that's still disrespect. And also, you can take into consideration. It's when they do that, when they take the knee, it's not that they're disrespecting the armed forces. It's disrespecting America, and they're trying to not disrespect it, but show their displeasure with how things are in America. They're not they're taking a knee. They're targeting the armed forces. They're targeting everything, and they're showing over as an all. Because the national anthem is the national anthem. It's not the armed forces anthem. It represents America, and the armed forces are a part of America. They're not. So by saying that, you could say, oh, well, by them disrespecting the national anthem, they're disrespecting this table because this table's in America, and I hate that.
I think we need to define exactly what they're protesting. They're protesting police violence, police brutality, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you guys think.
Well, yeah, there's that, and also there's a multitude. Just pretty much displeasure with how things are in America as today.
But their main protest is police violence.
Well, yeah, but there's
started,
yeah.
On basis of race.
Yes, that's pretty much how it started. Yeah, that's how we came to this beginning of this kneeling thing that has grown over the months that it's been going on.
And like, kind of counterpointing myself, but like, I'm not like super opposed to Trump, but I think that like this was pretty unnecessary for him to come out and say these statements for sure, especially calling the players the names that he did.
Yeah, that was
I think he's putting
very
himself in a corner.
unprofessional. That was very unprofessional. And coming from the president, you kind of expect a little bit, you know, you have a standard.
He should have just stayed out of it.
Composure.
Yeah.
But as what I was saying, you know, they're protesting on the basis of race and discrimination and violence, but I'd like to point out that it seems that the media is extremely vigilant on violence against minorities and whatever. They seem to, you know, claim that it's more tragic or more unjust if it happens to people with minorities.
That's very true.
Yeah, I say I feel like there's very few people who debate. The media will always twist things to their perspective, whatever's gonna sell, whatever's gonna be the hottest issue.
I think people want to make a story out of it, and like, I think this is one of those situations where making a story out of protesting, you know, our national anthem is just not very patriotic, I guess, would be what I'm trying to.
But when it comes right
Same.
down to it, it is their right. And I think that's the biggest issue here is, you know, do they have the right to? They absolutely do.
Yes,
You know,
because
love or
it's-
hate it, this is their right. And people are saying, you know, it's wrong, whatever. It still is their right. It's their right as Americans. It is the rights that people have fought and died for. You know,
And
this
it-
is.
I don't
And
think
it's
anybody's-
akin to freedom of speech.
I don't think
Exactly.
anybody's
It's-
making a legal argument against it.
Just is it correct for them to do that?
I think it's showing unity amongst the players, but I think it's also dividing like our actual like nation. Like people are gonna stop watching football and stuff like this because, you know, people that have fought and, you know, even just like people that are elderly, they've never seen something like this where people just mass protest the national anthem. It's just like not something you do. Like,
Looking at several tweets from veterans, even here we have one from a 97-year-old World War II veteran and Missouri farmer. He said he wanted to join those protesting and taking a knee. Obviously, there's a plethora of veterans who are for this, and there's obviously a
does he have
plethora.
an explanation why?
It's just a tweet. It's not a letter.
It's 140
Well, and what a lot of them
Like,
say.
why would he?
Well, what a lot of them say, because I
Well,
fully
why-
read through this article, was, you know, they don't necessarily agree. Quite a few of them say they don't agree with what it is and what's going on, but they agree with the right to do it. And that's what it tends to come down to. A lot of these people is this is the right. And that's really the biggest debate here, whether you agree or not. The issue is it unpatriotic and do you have the right to do it? Those are kind of the main issues.
I don't think they should be protesting the national anthem though, because it's, you know, we have so many different races, cultures. We don't even have a distinct, you know, national language, so it's the things that hold us together as Americans.
Mhm.
National anthem, you know, the flag. And I think that the cause, you know, they say black people are disproportionately murdered or killed. I think you have to look at who is statistically more likely to commit crime.
No, I agree with you in the regards that the media over glorifies minority targeting, and it's completely wrong when they do that to target one group and say this group is being discriminated against. Because when you do that, you indirectly discriminate against any other group as well, because you're saying this group's rights and stuff is more important than all these others. But what the real thing is here, these are athletes, these are professional players, they are on TV, they're public officials in a way, they hold great status in the public. People look up to these people, people see these people all the time. It's their obligation almost as these officials to voice their rights and or voice their problems and that what they see wrong in society and try to fix that. Because if we don't have like public officials do this, then we don't have like a voice behind a movement or anything like that. So for them to go out and say, this is a problem, we need to fix this, they're doing the right thing in doing that.
What do you think about young kids that are doing the same thing? Like 8-year-olds that are protesting?
Do they know what they're protesting for?
Exactly, do they know what they're protesting for, or are they just, oh,
That could
everybody's
be for
doing
any
this, so.
protest, I mean, any issue, children, this isn't just this issue, that could go for anything, children have a tendency to imitate what they see.
Right.
So like they're hating, it could be, an exact opposite protest about something else, the children might still imitate it, that's going to happen. That's
Should
not
they
really
get both
just
sides of the
this.
issue?
Well,
To make up their own mind?
Yeah, well, then we need to educate children and say, all right, this is the problem.
Yeah.
But them protesting like this isn't saying there's a problem with, like, there isn't, like, we are directly being, well, they are, okay. So they're saying, this is the one side of this. Them taking a knee is them saying, hey, there's a problem here. We should do something.
I don't think
about it.
anybody's denying there's a problem with race relations in America.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking about children though. The information is out there. When I was finding articles, I could find plenty for both sides. And maybe this is all they're seeing, but that's not really the player's fault. If somebody has a different opinion, then they are more than able to go voice it. They should be obligated to voice it. If you have a different opinion, voice it. Say what's wrong. But your argument that children are imitating it because it's what they see, of course it is. But they can see the other side. It's not like the other side isn't out there. It is out there. And it's not that hard to find.
I think more so like this whole situation was a reaction to Trump, and like, I don't think, like, if the players were gonna respond to it, I think that it should have been responded to in a different manner than like the one thing that holds our country.
Well, really, the take a knee didn't start with Trump. It
Well, it
happened
started with
last
Kaepernick.
year.
Say,
Yeah.
if
But it was very few players that were doing it, and it was, I mean, it did have a little steam throughout like the whole course of last year and stuff like that, but
And then it kind of went away.
But you mentioned the anthem is, the one thing that holds together. But if it's really the only thing holding us together is, the anthem, the flag, then are we really even a strong nation if that is all that holds us together? Is this one
It's-
singular
That
thing?
is a good
I
point.
think that's something that should.
Really, are we?
It's one thing we have in common.
Yeah, but if that's it, just a symbol, an idol, it's not anything more than that if you come down to it. It's
Then
nothing but a
maybe we
symbol
need
and
to
an
think
idol.
of the United States as a country and how, what we're doing.
But that's.
But that proves their point. By them simply taking a knee on this one thing, they take a shot at our whole system and saying, without this is really bad, pretty much. So it shows how actually ununified we are. And then this isn't just them taking a knee, they're ununified. We're ununified as a country, as it is already before this. This is just bringing that to light.
You think that protesting the flag for, police brutality is really the right way to go, or should they, go to police stations and say something, or make a video
Why not
online
protest
or
the flag?
something?
If, the flag is, you're saying it's the symbol of our country, of our unity.
Is it
If
the
there's
symbol-
something wrong
is it
in the
symbol-
country,
Is it the symbol of police violence?
but that's what I'm saying, it's
No,
a symbol of
it's a
America. If there's something wrong in our country, that falls into that. It's that simple. Sure, maybe, you might not agree with the flag being it, but the flag is a symbol. You've all said this. The flag, that anthem, they're a symbol of our country, and this is an issue in our country. Maybe it's just a specific thing, but it has an overall effect on our
And
country.
if they weren't protesting the flag, who's saying they wouldn't find something else equally upsetting to protest?
Well, what I'm saying is that they should be protesting something that's, relevant to it, that, that they can be related. Like, their cause, it's debatable if it is actually, if the black crime is as much as a problem as it is, because, you guys have said that the media has glorified it. I have a stat here that says 51% of the police murder victims were black. But then on also the same token, is it sexist that 77.7% were male? Is it racist? We know We know that the black people and minorities are statistically more prevalent to commit a crime because of their socioeconomic status.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where we're going with that one.
Is it sexist that 77.7% of people that were murdered by cops are sexist?
It could be, and
That's a good
another,
question.
if it, realistically, we don't all have the statistics to go deeper into that, what specific cases, what's going on. And you're right, it does vary depending on race, sex, gender, all of that varies. But, regardless, I feel like, I don't know how to say this. What we're talking about, the protesting, I feel like they're two separate issues here, and I think we need to figure out which one is more important. What they're protesting, or do they have the right and, against the flag to protest? Because that tends to be your.
They have the right to protest.
It's more so.
But against the flag, because that tends to be your point, that it's unpatriotic, that it's wrong, because it's against the flag.
I think what they're standing for is not right.
Okay. Getting places. All right. Thoughts? I wouldn't say, okay, going back to your sexist point, it's not sexist in a way, because like,
You don't have the statistics to say the crime rate male to female
Exactly.
ratio.
That's-
So therefore, you can't deem it sexist when you don't know exactly the ratio of male and female crimes. If you bring back that
That's
statistic.
what I'm saying.
there,
That's what I'm saying.
there,
Exactly.
there could be, like, the socioeconomic status of minorities causing them to commit more crimes. There could be the same thing with some force causing males to commit more crimes.
You're
That's
saying,
what I'm saying.
you're
So-
saying, you're saying.
So then if the rate for them is higher, is it sexist?
No.
I would say it's not.
Right?
So is it racist for 51% of them to be victims?
No.
So what are they protesting?
Police brutality. Wait, this is so. It's police brutality, overusage of power. Police brutality.
Well, nobody's gonna, argue that, any police brutality is, but they're protesting that it's racist, that the racist cops are shooting black people.
Is that not true though?
But that's not linked to.
That's what he's talking about with like,
Do some cops, especially racist cops, see a black person, automatically think, oh, something could be going on, they could have a weapon or something like that? I mean, cops should think, if they're thinking that way about black people, they should think that way about all people, not just black people.
right?
So
I agree that one
is-
person killed unjustly is wrong, but
Yes, in the statistics for cops shooting unarmed black people is way too much, way more than it should be. The statistic should be 0.
well, yeah, for everybody it should be 0, I agree.
Yes, and if a person's not threatening a cop, the cop has no right to shoot them or take them down brutally or anything like that. I mean,
The linkage between, I think the linkage between crime rates and police brutality rates, for lack of a better term, isn't comparable in the sense of like, is it racist or not, I guess?
Like, is it justified?
Like,
Okay.
See, I think the only way to justify a police officer shooting somebody would be individual, case by case,
right.
not broadly. They're arguing that there's broad, racist movement, people are shooting them because they're black.
That is more. That was with the Colin Kaepernick thing, also too. We kind of missed his overall point. It was there, but with the most recent events over the weekend, most of them took a knee because of Trump's tweet, as you said earlier. That this a rebirth of this movement is because of Trump's tweet, in which
He said something at a rally.
He said that it was disrespectful.
at a rally or whatever. But it's disrespectful. So them taking a knee, from my understanding, is to show displeasure with that unity, because
Yeah.
Trump signifies the unity, the president signifies the unity of our country, and for a president to go out there and not have composure such as that.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
see
Trump
that?
did.
This is like our most
More harm than
unified
good.
election. This had the most I feel like this election had like the most people talking and the most
In our
division
lifetime,
within our
time
country.
for sure.
So I feel like he's not the biggest unity thing between with the United States. So I don't think that was.
Yeah, Trump's election did divide the United States quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's not as
But the start of this protest did not happen
Right, because
when
of-
Trump was in office.
Exactly.
It was
Right.
after he had announced that he was running for president, but
Right.
it was not when he was in office. So,
it's not that Trump getting elected necessarily showed it, like, divided the country. It's this is what this protest is about, in my opinion, is trying to show that we actually weren't unified really any bit before, and we've slowly been getting that to the far left and the far right in like extremism and getting farther and farther away over time, where people, the same thing would have happened if Hillary got elected with she's not my president or something like that. It's we as a country are ununified and our views are vastly different, and it's just getting worse and worse.
I'm saying, not just, even if going back to this issue, this is such a complex issue, because you're right, there is the, statistics behind it. Is there, very ideal what they're, standing up against? Is it really happening? Is it not? There's the legal issues, there's all of these issues going into play, and, there's so many aspects that intertie and don't intertie with each other that you have to look at when you're discussing this issue. It's not just, do the statistics match their cause, or does, their cause, do they have the right to? There's just so many intricate things, and it's kind of hard to have a debate when you aren't really, we're debating on all these different aspects instead of just one, because there is so many intricate details going on. Do cops target, those of minorities more? Maybe, maybe not. The statistics, so many different versions, so many different types, different studies will give you different answers. There is like no set thing. There's so many different factors to look into. But at the same time, you have, people who are saying it's unpatriotic, it's un-American, and that's a whole other aspect. That has nothing to do with what they are protesting, but how they're protesting. So there's so many different ways to look at this.
You ever think that it'll be solved?
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
there's always going to be two sides to the fight of.
Well, with that mentality, there will be.
What are the implications of this divisive argument?
What?
What are the implications of this argument? I mean, having it.
I suppose that's
Well,
the question.
To divide us further.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that we can't really know. I mean, maybe in 10, 20 years this won't matter, and maybe it'll be, one of the final straws to cause us to just completely
I
divide.
think we should just totally forget about it. Just-
But you've already planted the
Don't-
seed.
I
Can you
don't-
truly forget something once it's begun?
We shouldn't give it as much weight as we do.
Yeah, it's in any issue today. There's a lot of stuff where it's just we pick a side right away, and then that's our side, and then everyone else is wrong. And we as like a society need to broaden our minds and just say, all right, I see your side, but this is why this, or my side's wrong because of this, but your right side's right because of
If
that.
people were more diplomatic,
Mhm.
like you're saying, then there wouldn't be so much, I don't know what the right word is.
Tension?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll use that word.
Gap.
Yeah, there wouldn't be such a divide if people were more diplomatic
Mhm.
about things. But sadly, the human race is not built to be diplomatic.
They could be.
Seems that
They
way.
could be if people stop being,
People.
yeah,
I'd say
right.
that people take offense to too many things
Mhm.
because, it's completely subjective what you're offended by.
I think that's media plays a big part.
Well, I feel like that's a whole
Mhm.
other issue we could discuss, But it also looks like we are out of time, so,
Yes, we'll see you next week with a brand new topic to argue about.
yeah.
Yep.